Marco says, Sundays, your overall thoughts on God Valley and Elbath so far, and where do y'all rank Loki power scaling wise? We're gonna be talking about One Piece manga for this most recent prompt for a little bit.
God Valley was great, man. I hope they animated really well. God Valley was great, man. 100%. I would say I think it puts some more respect for sure on the old generation. I feel like there's just been a lot of disrespect to the old generation lately now that we've been in Elbath. But I think they are now solidified with their respect. Do I still think new generation is surpassing old generation? Yes, I do. I'm on that side. That new generation is surpassing that. They're getting to that level. Some of them are already at the level of the old generation's prime. Cool. Now, this whole Loki thing, we all have to just slow down. Everybody has to slow down. And I'm not really going to talk about Loki as much. So I'm going to talk about Kaido more because I feel like Kaido's character was it's probably one of the more flushed out characters, ability wise, or at least repertoire wise, that throughout his entire pirate career. He's probably got the most, besides Luffy, obviously. Like, you would know exactly what type of fighter he is, what level he's on, and what it takes to even be above his level. And I understand that Loki's Haki is at a tier where you can tell that it's just as potent or just as strong, but I just feel like characters like Kaido outclass the usage of the Haki way more than Loki. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like Loki has not had enough real Haki involved battles in his life, probably. And that's, mind you, he's way older than Kaido. Then to be like, oh yeah, he's like Shanks level, Kaido level, Akainu level, if we're assuming he's top one in the Marines right now. Yeah, maybe like Blackbeard. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see him being Blackbeard. That'd be a lot for Blackbeard to deal with. But Blackbeard's also the off-screen god, and he's got 2 devil fruit, and he's got high. Kuzan, yeah, I can see a Kuzan maybe.
We gotta bump that up though, and the reason why, right? I think what we have to respect is Loki being able to, essentially take down Harold, right? And now, to me, I've agreed with many people that have said, well, Harold was basically lying in wait for Loki to destroy him, right? Because he needed to be destroyed. And that's something I've always agreed with on that as well. I've said, like, because there's a lot of people that say, oh, Loki had, he beat him badly. And I'm like, well, Harold was waiting for him to be destroyed. It wasn't like Harold was like fighting back. But at the same time, we have to understand the level of Haki that it takes to destroy somebody like that. Harold is in a conversation with Rocks, who in his Domi Reversi form was, it took a combined effort of Garp and Roger to be defeated, right? And even then, he didn't technically pass away, right? Garland came and finished the job. So when you're looking at all those things put together and you're seeing that Loki now has the trust of Ragnar to come together and do crazy Haki feats to the point where Emu now leaves the Holy Land to pull up because he's like, Nika and Needhogger together? Oh, nah, I can't let this happen again. This is a Joy Boy level threat. To me, when I see stuff like that, Kaido, as powerful as he was in his prime, he did not even command this level of respect on this magnitude. I still think Kaido's one of the strongest characters in One Piece, 100%. But I'll be lying to you if I said that Loki has not displayed crazier Haki feats, crazier Devil Fruit feats, on just a grander scale. Him being having the ancient giant blood on top of his legendary devil fruit, on top of having Ragnar, on top of having the Haki to defeat Harold all together, it's a combined, like, he's looking ridiculous. Emu left, you gotta understand, Jared, Emu left the Holy Land for this.
And I'm hearing you, but no, Emu didn't just leave the Holy Land for Loki, though. He left for an accumulation of reasons. Yeah. Reasons specific to his objective. Respectfully, Kaido was never on the same path of anything that Emu wanted to intervene in. It doesn't mean that if Kaido's on Elbath right now, it's not just as much of a problem, I feel like, for Emu. And I only say that because, yes, the amount of Haki you need to undo a Domi Reversi is great, but it did come from characters who we argue weren't even at their strongest yet. You feel me?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like if they can get stronger with this and there's more levels to just the Roger Whitebeard old gen status, then I'm kind of just like, Kaido's a part of that. Kaido's a part of what it means to use Haki to this peak. And the only reason I don't have Loki, he's a good powerhouse.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah.
So he can deliver a lot of power, but we know that power isn't everything. You feel me? If you don't know how to use your Haki, you can go down just as quick. Mm-hmm. You feel me?
Yeah, I mean, if we strictly talk devil fruit abilities, Loki outclasses Kaido off of devil fruit.
But we haven't seen his hybrid mode. We don't even know if he has a grasp on that.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking based on the end of last chapter that something's gonna happen next chapter. But even, you know, who Loki is standing up against to even be in those conversations, to me, I don't think Kaido, based on everything I've seen from Kaido's career, I don't think Kaido had an attack in his arsenal that made me look at it and say, yo, this would one-shot Harold, or this would take out Harold completely. I don't think I've seen an attack from.
I think with Ragnar, yes, absolutely.
but again, that's Loki's bag.
A thunder Bakuga with Ragnar
is not.
Taking out Harold.
What? Wait. Oh, you're saying with Ragnar?
With Ragnar, if Ragnar's a big part of why.
Right, but that's Loki's thing.
Kaido has, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. If Kaido could use Ragnar, I'm only seeing Loki as like maybe a more potent in Haki because he's a giant. That's literally it. Because he literally is bigger, so it's almost like his fighting ability is just gonna be everything about him. His will is everything's gonna be larger. But Kaido is like, I feel like just more experienced in high quality battle.
I'm with you until we get to Shanks, right? Shanks, we know, is the person that stopped Loki. Now, there's theories about, is it Shanks by himself or did they jump him? Everybody has their own stance on what really happened in that instance. In my personal opinion, I think Shanks was able to capture Loki off of a Haki diff. I think Shanks' Haki is one of the top 5 in the series right now. And I've always believed, so it was confirmed that Shanks captured Loki, and he was the reason why Loki was like in the underworld in Elbaf, like chained up and all that stuff. Like Shanks was the one that captured.
This was after Harold died, though. He came back.
Yeah, right? yeah. This is right. Way after Harold died. Yeah, Shanks. Yeah, okay. Shanks stopped Loki, and he also stopped Kaido, as I'm seeing in chat as well. And he also stopped Kaido. But again, this is me looking at from a perspective of like Shanks' Haki to me is like ridiculous. But like I've always called him the modern day Roger. And when I'm looking at Loki, for instance, right? Loki's Haki was able to literally destroy King Harold. Yes, he had Ragnar too, which is pivotal in this. But
yeah, and he's also 50 foot, 2,000 pounds.
Yeah, but that's what
of course he's gonna.
Yeah,
if he swing back, he gonna go through Harold.
But Jared, that's what I'm saying. That ties into that though, right? Because we know Haki can also be used defensively. So you're talking about a defensive Conqueror's Haki of King Harold, and Loki was able to overpower that. The same King Harold that fought against Rocks. If I ask you right now, who's winning, Kaido or Rocks?
So you think Loki can beat Luffy too? Then
it's plausible, but I have Luffy over Loki. But again, I think it's plausible though. Like Loki is.
So even though I understand, sometimes I feel like when it comes to Conqueror's Haki, you gotta look at like, I guess, potency in a sense, right? Mm-hmm. Potency versus actual like output and skill usage. Mm-hmm. Okay. So when I look at like potency, I feel like Luffy's got like some of the best potency. Loki's potency is crazy. Rox's potency is crazy. You feel me? Like these are like people whose Haki, when they first started using Conqueror, was a problem, right? But I feel like when it comes to skill and usage, Luffy, Rocks, Kaido, Shanks, they outclass Loki. Because he hasn't had, I don't feel like he hasn't had enough, even though we know he's like a couple hundred years old or whatever, right?
Yeah, he used to sail the seas.
Yeah, but I feel like the battles, we never hear about no other major battles from Loki except from pretty much what we're getting now. And Harold. You feel me? But a Harold was a very like, unlocked Ragnir. I tapped into my conquerors for like the real potency of it for the first time. I kind of look at like Loki as like Brawly in a sense from Super. Like, yes, Brawly may be stronger than Vegeta, maybe stronger than Goku. Like, of course, you know, that's a hard comparison. But like, if Goku goes UI, or if Goku's like, let's outthink him, let's use abilities that he's not used to, fusion, he's gonna lose. That's not the best analogy, but my point is Brawly is still like has to learn more about himself.
He needs more experience.
Like, unquestionably, like, oh, I'm stronger than Gohan. You know what I mean?
So I think I'm starting to understand. So your argument is not that Loki doesn't have the power to defeat Kaido, but that he's inexperienced in comparison to Kaido, which I think that's a fair argument.
Inexperience is like the wrong word though, because he's been around, he's been alive, and he's fought, he's been in battles, but I just don't think he's been, and I guess inexperienced is not the wrong word, but enough high quality battles for it to matter. But yeah, I just don't think he's been in enough. Like, oh, Kaido's off the gate. Kaido's in high battles with Rox's crew, Haki Wise, God Valley, and then from henceforth he grinded to Yonko. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, you got to understand what type of person hasn't lost for this long. So, but that's why I'm like, I think I have Luffy over Loki too, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I again, that's what I'm saying. I completely see what you're saying. I think a lot of people are looking at the power that Loki displayed in defeating Harold, and they're saying, well, if Harold is relative to Rox and Loki has the power to defeat a Harold, even though it wasn't in a fight necessarily, it's just having the power to override his haki is still like an incredible feat. Like you can't tell like Harold to stand still and be yo, Jack, one shot him.
Harold, that does make a huge difference though. Harold not trying to control himself again. It's the same thing with Rox.
Right, but Harold was also suffering from you know, a Domi Reversi as well. So it's like he was holding himself.
But that's the direct effect onto your haki, because it literally is taking control of your will. So it's the same thing with Rox. And that's kind of why I also, for a minute, still had Rox at like I would say Rox's prime is not like, it's maybe a notch under Roger's prime. You feel me? Like, that's what I have it as, because I'm like, y'all gotta understand, if he's like also actively trying to fight the back against Adomi Reverchi, it's essentially 3 characters fighting against Eve. You feel me? So it's like, it's way different if he's actively wanting to fight Roger and Garp. You feel me? Because now it's a matter of he's moving on his own like way of fighting in that retrospect. Of course, I don't think he can beat the both of them regardless, but it's the same thing with Harold, bro. It's effectively trying to not use his will, his haki. There's no way it could be as powerful as if he's actually like when Rox and Harold actually clashed and they were actually fighting. You know what I mean?